My name is Caron, and I have worked in Ashmore House, Clarendon Shelter for the Northwest Methodist Mission. It's coming in now to 5 years, but I have been there 7 years because I worked there voluntary, and I also was a service user there in April 2018.
My name's Anne Barr, and I work in Clarendon Shelter, which is also known as Ashmore House in Derry. And I've been working there since 2017, but I've worked for the Northwest Methodist Mission for 19 years now. The women that come to us, they're all over 18, so they've either maybe grown up in the care system also, or they've grown up with really traumatic childhoods, and they're in a cycle, you know, of homelessness along with every other issues that comes along with homelessness, like so. And every woman has a support worker or a key worker that does one-to-one, and they're allocated that person, and we support them from their journey to coming into Ashmore and until they leave or they're housed or whatever. I got caught in addiction, and I spent from I was 27, 28 until I was 39 trapped in addiction with a lot of loss, pain, hurt towards other people, you know, as well as myself. Just one day, my son, my eldest son, said something, just said, "Mommy, I can't do this anymore." And that day I just went, "Please, God, help me deal with this thing, you know, so that I can be okay." And he did. So I went and asked for help, and I have been sober now 19 years, a day at a time, come March. And that's when I entered the Northwest Methodist Mission. I got a job the same week.
I lived in Scotland for 8 years. I had 2 children, and the marriage failed, taking my 50% of the responsibility, as always. I came home back to Derry for a short time with my children, and then I went on holiday and I met an Italian, as you do. And my life journeyed into another transformation. I went to live in Italy with my children. I had a relationship with this Italian man, and I had a child, and the 5 of us returned into Italy, where I had great transformation. I loved the domestic violence relationship there, and I had to leave my partner, but I couldn't leave the country. So I stayed there with my children for 13 years, and it was really tough. That time was really tough. The violence got that bad that I actually had to return home on a flight and get my older boys safe, and then go in and get my baby son. And then I flew out and I risked the Hague Convention Act in 2004, where I had to return voluntarily. I would have lost custody of my youngest son. Then I came home for a holiday in 2018. The night I was supposed to return back into Italy, I broke my wrist in 3 places, and I never took that flight back.
I ended up in another relationship, and it's not about the relationship, it's just about where I was at in my life. So that ended up that it was violent, a lot of physical violence and mental torture. And I ended up once again, on my knees, begging for help. And the same thing happened. I found myself at a wee chapel, and at the altar of the chapel it just says, "Be still and know that I am God." And again I just went, if you get me out of this, I trust that you'll keep me safe or whatever. And again, and it just not like that, but he did that.
So money ran out, and I found myself back in Derry, no bed anywhere in Derry, and I was sent to the Northwest Methodist Mission, Clarendon Shelter, where I was given room 12, by whom is my manager today, who was then a team leader. My aunt was allowed to come into the room with me, and I fell on my knees, and I cried, and I surrendered. No money, no job, no prospects, and a home, and this room, number 12, and it really did transform my life. It really did.
January 2023, I had a complete conversion, and over a weekend at an event. I was at a praise and worship event. From that day to this day, everything has changed. I have a completely different outlook in life. You know, I know that I am worthy. I know that God put me in the mission at the time of the end of me drinking. He knew, I didn't know, that I had something to offer people. And then I was moved from the men's hostel to the women's hostel, which has the domestic abuse experience that can be used there. I know deep down in my heart, this is the only way for me to love, and to love with peace and contentment. And I can't keep this to myself. What was given to me freely from other good people, I must give it away.
Well, the only way from down is up, you know, baby steps. So going into Ashmore House, Clarendon shelter, was actually, I call it a rebirth in certain ways. I actually gave Ashmore Angels their name, because when I was in there, I called them angels, you know, because that's what they were for me at the time, you know, because I was so broken. I was 6.5 stone, you know, I wasn't eating. I missed the culture of Italy as well, you can imagine, and I was lost. But deep down I knew that it was the right place to be. It was that gut feeling. And I also had an encounter with going to this holy spiritual weekends of praise and worship, where it dramatically changed my life. Where I thought I was always alone, he embraced me, you know, many times in the weekends that we went on our Holy Spirit weekends. I felt the hug of God himself, and I can't deny that to anybody in this. And if I tell lies, if I don't tell it, I'm not telling God what I'm telling the Word, what God gave me. It's just the truth.
Everybody that comes in either crying because their life has ended up in a homeless shelter, or they're the other one that says, I'll not be here long, or, you know, or I shouldn't be here kind of attitude, you know, which is okay too. And they don't trust us. And is normally given 5 to 6 weeks, or we can start to see the real people who've come in. They haven't told us very little about their lives. We'll help them with the basics like benefits and their housing. That's basically what we are, a housing provider. But in the climate in the world that we live in, it's now become mental health, addiction, all those things that I talked about before. But the end goal for them when they come in is to be housed. But there's so much around that housing people. So we have watched people coming in with no hope, full of despair, saying, I've really messed up my life, I can't do anything about it. And we watch their journey and see them get a wee bit of confidence, go and tackle the issues that's stopping them from moving on in their lives, becoming sober and staying sober and getting housed, and then they will move out into the community and we will follow them out for 2 years. We do like a tenancy support program and go on out. Like we've all sorts of emotions at work. You know, we have good days, we've really good days. Then I'm not going to say we've bad days, I'm going to say we've tough days, and it's more emotional than, you know, physical kind of stuff. It's more emotional and mental.
If you believe and you have hope and you have God in your life, God can transform anything into wonderful. He has the power, He has the glory. Anything that I thought that I'd lost through my own fault and my addictions and stuff, I have back in my life. I have all my family back in my life. I have my children, my grandchildren, everything is back in my life again, only through God's grace. In the transformation of, you know, returning back to Derry and the Northwest Methodist Mission became my family. They became my family. We need bigger houses like this. We need to build them all over the world, because if someone like me comes home to their town after being away all those years and there's no places in the inn, this inn gave me prosperity, hope, love, encouragement. I've been there. So I know them for 5 weeks, and I thought, what am I doing in this place? This is not a place I want to be. This is not where I should be. And it was exactly where I should have been. You know, exactly where I should have been. And I have people to this day around me that I can call family, even though they're not blood. They're my family, part of my family.